I need to tell you something that your IELTS teacher probably never told you. And honestly, it might change everything about how you prepare for this test.
Okay, now I'm curious. What is it?
When the examiner asks you, describe a place you'd like to visit, you can say the Eiffel Tower, even if you've never been to France. You can describe hiking in the Swiss Alps, even if you've never left your country. You can talk about your best friend from university if that person doesn't exist.
Wait, are you saying students can just make things up?
I'm saying the examiner literally does not care if your story is true. And I'm not just guessing here, I've seen the official examiner guidelines. There's a section called Assessment Guidance, and it says, and I quote, content of candidate response is irrelevant.
Irrelevant?
Irrelevant, those exact words. Let me say that again for everyone in the back. Content is irrelevant. So, in the next 12 minutes, I'm going to explain exactly why this matters. And then I'm going to teach you something called the story bank method that will completely change how you prepare for part two.
Okay, let's get into it.
Welcome back to IELTS Speaking Podcast. I'm Anthony here with Felicity, and this is episode 5, part of our Examiner Secret series, where we share the insider knowledge that most IELTS teachers either don't know or don't tell you.
And today's secret is a big one.
It really is. So here's the thing. Most students spend hours trying to remember real experiences from their lives. They panic during part two because they can't think of a true story about a time they helped someone or a gift they received. They're searching their memories, getting stressed, running out of things to say.
And all that stress is completely unnecessary?
Completely unnecessary because the examiner is not a fact checker. They're not going to Google you after the test. They don't care if your childhood pet actually existed or your favorite teacher is a real person.
So, what do they care about?
Four things, and only four things: fluency and coherence, lexical resource, that's vocabulary, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. That's it. That's the entire marking criteria. Notice what's not on that list.
Truth? Accuracy? Whether the story actually happened?
Exactly. Not there. Doesn't exist. Your content could be completely fictional and you could still get band 9.
Okay, but how do we know this? Like, where does this come from?
Great question. So, IELTS examiners receive official training materials, confidential documents that explain exactly how to conduct and mark the test. I've studied these materials extensively. Want to know what they say?
Go for it.
The instructions the examiner has basically say ignore the occasional irrelevant answer. Most candidates stay on track. So, an odd response here or there, it's probably just a slip up in communication. As long as it's not happening all the time, don't mark them down for it.
So, not only does factual accuracy not matter, even being slightly off topic doesn't hurt you?
Right. The only time content becomes an issue is if you're persistently irrelevant, which basically means you're completely ignoring what you were asked. And even then, it's penalized under fluency and coherence, not because your facts were wrong, but because your answer didn't make sense in context.
So, as long as you're roughly answering the question.
You can say whatever you want, make it up, embellish, invent. The examiner is listening to how you speak, not what you say.
This is honestly game changing. I feel like so many students don't know this.
They don't. And here's the really important part: a confident, well structured, fictional story with excellent vocabulary will score higher than a hesitant, choppy, true story with basic vocabulary every single time.
Because the marking criteria are about language quality.
Exactly. So let me give you a quick example. Let's say the question is, describe a book that influenced you.
Okay.
Student A genuinely read a book years ago, but they can't remember the details. They're struggling. It was about, I think the main character was, I forgot the name, but flat, hesitant.
That sounds painful.
Now, student B watched the movie based on a book, never actually read it, but they confidently say, The book I'd like to talk about is The Pursuit of Happiness. What really struck me about this book is the way it portrays perseverance in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The author's journey from homelessness to becoming a successful stockbroker taught me that determination can overcome almost any circumstance.
That second one is so much better, even though technically they didn't read it.
Doesn't matter. The examiner heard fluent speech, sophisticated vocabulary like perseverance and insurmountable obstacles, complex sentence structures, and clear organization. That's what gets marked, not whether they actually turned the pages. Okay, so now you know the secret. Content is irrelevant. But how do you actually use this knowledge? This is where the story bank method comes in.
Story bank?
Think of it like this. Instead of walking into your IELTS test hoping you'll magically remember the perfect real story for whatever random topic they give you, you prepare stories in advance. Fictional, semi fictional, or heavily embellished versions of real events. Stories that are flexible enough to adapt to multiple different Part 2 questions.
So you're building a bank of pre prepared stories.
Exactly. And here's the key. You only need about 3 or 4 really good stories because each story can be adapted to answer 5, 10, sometimes even more different Part 2 questions.
3 or 4 stories can cover that much?
Absolutely. Let me show you. Your story bank should have 4 categories. Number 1, a person. This could be a friend, family member, teacher, colleague, or stranger who helped you. One well developed person can answer describe someone who influenced you, describe a friend, describe someone you admire, describe someone who is good at their job, describe someone you'd like to meet again.
That's 5 questions from one story already.
Number 2, a place. This could be a city, a building, a natural location, or a specific spot. One good place can answer describe somewhere you'd like to visit, describe a place from your childhood, describe a quiet place, describe a place you went on holiday, describe a place where you feel relaxed.
I see the pattern.
Number 3, an experience. This is usually an event or achievement. It can become describe a time you succeeded, describe a challenge you faced, describe something you learned, describe a memorable event, describe a time you helped someone.
And number 4?
Number 4, an object. A phone, a gift, a piece of clothing, a tool. It can become describe a useful invention, describe a gift you received, describe something you use every day, describe something you bought recently, describe an important possession.
So, with just 4 solid stories, you could potentially answer, what, 20 different part 2 questions?
Or probably, and here's the real power move. You develop these stories with rich vocabulary, complex grammar structures, and vivid details. You practice them until they flow naturally, and then in the test, you're not inventing, you're adapting.
You are basically performing a role you've rehearsed.
Exactly. And remember, the examiner doesn't know it's prepared. They just hear fluent, confident, sophisticated English, which is exactly what they're marking you on. Let me show you exactly how this works with a real example. I'm going to create one person story and show you how it adapts to 3 completely different cue cards.
Love it. Let's hear it.
Okay, my prepared person is my cousin Marco. Here's what I know about Marco. He's a software developer, very creative. We grew up together. He once built an app that helped local farmers sell produce. He's calm under pressure, and I admire his problem solving ability.
Got it. Cousin Marco, software developer, creative, helpful app.
Now, let's say the cue card is describe someone who is good at their job.
This could work with a lot of prompts. Let's hear it.
Well, 10. The person I'd like to talk about is my cousin Marco, who works as a software developer for a startup in Singapore. What really impresses me about Marco is his ability to solve complex problems under pressure. I remember when he was developing an app to help local farmers sell their produce directly to consumers, he encountered countless technical challenges, but he approached each one with this calm, methodical mindset. He'd often work late into the night, not because he was stressed, but because he genuinely found the puzzle fascinating. I think what makes him exceptional at his job is this combination of creativity and patience. He doesn't just write code, he crafts solutions.
That's beautiful. Great vocabulary, clear structure.
Now, different cue card. Describe someone who has influenced you. I'd have to say my cousin Marco has had a significant influence on how I approach challenges. He's a software developer, and watching him work on projects like this app he built to help local farmers taught me that persistence and creativity can solve almost any problem. What I particularly admire is his calm demeanor. When I'm stressed, I often think, what would Marco do? And it reminds me to break problems into smaller pieces rather than feeling overwhelmed. He shaped my whole approach to difficult situations.
Same person, completely different angle.
One more. Describe a family member you spend time with. I'd like to talk about my cousin Marco. We grew up together, so we're quite close, more like brothers, really. These days, we don't see each other as often because he's busy with his tech startup. But when we do meet up, we usually grab coffee and just talk for hours. He tells me about his latest projects. He built this app for farmers recently, which I found fascinating. And I share what's going on in my life. What I value most about spending time with Marco is his ability to listen. He's very calm and thoughtful. I always leave our conversations feeling, I don't know, clearer about things.
Three completely different answers, all from one person in your story bank.
Same Marco, same app, same personality traits, but adapted to fit whatever the question asks. And the examiner hears three confident, fluent, vocabulary rich answers. That's the power of the story bank. Okay, now it's your turn. I want you to start building your story bank right now.
Right now,
Right now. Here's your homework. Pause this episode. Yes, actually pause it and think of one person, real, fictional, or a combination. Give them a name, a job or role, one memorable thing they did, and two personality traits.
that's the starting point for their first story bank entry.
Exactly. So pause the recording now, take 2 or 3 minutes, come up with your person, give them details. When you're ready, hit play, and I'll tell you exactly what to do next. Welcome back. So, you've got your person. Here's the next step. Over the next week, I want you to practice describing this person in three different ways, answering three imaginary questions. Record yourself on your phone, listen back, notice where you hesitate, where your vocabulary is weak, where you could add more detail, then improve and practice again.
And this becomes your first story bank entry.
Your first of four. Do the same for a place, an experience, and an object. By the end of the month, you'll have a story bank that can handle almost any part two question with confidence.
Can I add something here?
Go for it.
I think there's a psychological element too. When you're trying to remember something true under pressure, your brain is doing two things at once, searching memory and producing language. That's really hard.
Huge cognitive load.
But when you have a prepared story, your brain only has to do one thing, produce the language. The content is already there, so you can focus entirely on speaking fluently, using good vocabulary, getting your pronunciation right.
Which is why prepared stories almost always sound better than improvised true stories. Less hesitation, better word choice, more natural flow.
And remember, those are the exact things the examiner is marking.
Exactly. So you're not cheating by preparing stories, you're being strategic. You're optimizing for what actually gets assessed. All right, let's wrap up with the key points from today.
Number 1.
Content is officially irrelevant. It's in the examiner guidelines. They assess your language, not your facts.
Number 2.
Confident, prepared story beats a hesitant, true story every time.
Number 3.
Build a story bank with four categories: a person, a place, an experience, and an object. Practice adapting each one to multiple questions.
And number 4.
Preparation is not cheating, it's strategy. The best test takers in the world prepare. Now you know how to prepare smarter. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments, tell me, what's your go to story? Describe your person or place or experience in one sentence. We'll reply and tell you how many different part two questions it could answer. Seriously, drop a comment. We read every single one.
We really do.
Next episode, we're tackling part three, the discussion section. You know, the part where the examiner suddenly asks abstract questions like, why do you think some celebrities are famous for longer than others?
Do you think good teachers need to be popular with their students?
Terrifying, right? Part three is where most students fall apart, but we've got a simple framework that turns any abstract question into a Band 8 answer. Don't miss it.
Subscribe so you don't miss it.
Thanks for listening to IELTS Speaking Podcast. Share this episode with anyone preparing for IELTS. This secret could save their score. We'll see you in the next one.
See you next time.